Anyway. Anywho. This section.
Got me out. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm recording on. No,
You
record on. I know. Oh, it's alright. Too close to that one.
Andy moved back, falling over it. Are we ready?
Are we?
Ready? Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
That's better. Oh, yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this your church, Paul Christian Spiritualist Church. Big welcome to those people watching us online around the world. Thank you for joining us today. As you can see, this is not Phyllis Rumley. All right? Sure? Yeah.
Not unless the COVID's really affected.
But bless her heart. Phyllis, our thoughts are out with you, my darling, and hope that you get better soon. And we do miss you. You're such a wonderful soul. However, we do have another wonderful soul who stepped in late yesterday afternoon. I was like, please say yes, please say yes, please say yes. And he did. So Mark Stone, who needs no introduction, thank you for stepping in and taking our service today. So, very warmies. So forgive us. We both looked at each other and went, nah, that's not going to happen.
No ties.
So no ties, but I'm sure somebody upstairs really won't mind about that. As long as you're comfortable, please remember you've got plenty of water there. If you do feel a little bit lightheaded, or more lightheaded than normal with some people, I'm looking at you, darling. You know, just do what you need to do, all right? Enjoy the service, and we look forward to a wonderful afternoon together. Mark, if I could invite you, please, for the opening blessing. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if we just close our eyes, but open our hearts and minds in prayer. Gracious and divine Spirit, as we join together on this beautiful afternoon, allow us to step into the peace and the stillness of this healing place. Allow that love and light and that beautiful energy of that warm sunny day to blend with the power of our hearts, to let that inner light shine as we join together, to let us reach out in our hearts and minds, not only to that divine parent, that great and infinite Spirit, but also to our friends and loved ones in the other world, to invite them to join us on this afternoon, to become a part of this moment, not only for communication, but also for inspiration and for healing, and to bring us the strength and the upliftment that we may need at this moment in time. And allow us during this service to not only think of our own needs, but also to be a channel of healing for others. Allow us to share with the greater whole, to be like that sunlight shining out into the world and giving to others, sharing that healing, that light, that strength with all those who need it. And of course, as we work and sit here together today, allow us to be guided by the hand of the other world. Allow their words and their inspirations to be heard not only with the ears, but also with the heart. Let us be inspired, let us be guided, so that by the time that we leave this service, that we are brighter and lighter within our being. And so, as always, we place ourselves and our service in your care and keeping, which is forever love. Amen.
Amen. Mark, thank you. As always, your prayers are so beautiful and inspired and encapsulate the moment. Thank you so much. And now, if you care to, please join in with saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not when in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. We now move our hearts, our minds, our thoughts and our very essence into the time for healing. For each and every one of us, in one form or another, are healers, be it through thought, word, deed or action. We all work and tap into that never-ending font of healing energy that emanates out from the centre of all creation. So during this time, accompanied by gentle music, we invite you to send out your thoughts to wherever you are drawn. It is up to nobody to tell you what to do, where to go. You follow your heart's lead. We'd also invite you during this time, if there is anybody known to you, and including yourselves, because we are very remiss at times at asking for healing simply for us. Just please raise your hand, and when I point to you, just call out the name. That is all that is required. So open up and shine out that light as mentioned in the prayer, under that banner, that name, that very essence of healing. Divine and everlasting Father of light and love, that whom we know as God, we thank you for this time of togetherness, of harmonizing our energies and our very vibrations, to work within that energy of healing, sending out healing to wherever there is a need, and in accord with your great and divine plan for all things. Amen. I'd now like to invite Mark for his reading and address today, please. Thank you, Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. You can tell it's really afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. That's better.
See, it's not just me.
It's all right. It's going into that healing energy. You're going, I'm getting hotter, I'm going to melt. What everybody at home doesn't know, it's just a sea of mankinis and bikinis here. We're the only ones dressed.
And they're very glad for that at home.
Now, I'm sure that all of you at some point have heard, read, or maybe even own a copy of a poem called Footprints in the Sand, yes? Well, I'm not reading that this afternoon. I'm reading... Lovely poem, not reading that. But I'm reading a follow-on, a poem that was written beyond Footprints in the Sand. One night I had a wondrous dream. One set of footprints there were seen. The footprints of my precious Lord, but mine were not along the shore. But then some stranger prints appeared, and I asked the Lord, what have we here? Those prints are large and round and neat, but Lord, they're far too big for feet. My child, he said in sombre tones, for miles I carried you alone. I challenged you to walk in faith, but you refused. You made me wait. You disobeyed. You would not grow. The walk of faith you would not know. So I got tired and I got fed up, and there I dropped you on your butt. Because in life there comes a time when one must fight and one must climb, when one must rise and take a stand, or else leave your butt prints in the sand. Now, I love that. I love humour that's brought into things. But what inspires me with that reading, with that poem, is the aspect of when we are challenged in life. And we can all say that through the last few years we have been challenged in more ways than normal, and in ways that we would never have assumed we would ever experience life and situations. But often in life, when people get challenged, when we experience loss of any form, whether it's the loss of a loved one, the loss of our work, the loss of a partner, a separation, a divorce, whatever it may be, a failure of some sort or another in our life, we often fall down. Now, it's okay for us to fall down, but often we stay down. We spend a lot of time deciding, I'm not going to get up. I can't get up. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to play anymore because I've had enough of these things. But ladies and gentlemen, that being knocked down and getting back up again is the very stuff of life itself. Imagine if when you were a baby, the very first time you tried walking, you fell down and you went, right, that's it. I'm not trying that again. We'd still be sat where we first landed and never moved on. Imagine the first interview we ever go for work, and we get knocked back and you say, right, I'm never going for a job interview ever again. That's it. I'm not going to put myself in upset's way and harm's way. We ask someone out for the first time. We pluck up the courage and we get rejected. Right, that's it. I'm never going to be hurt again. I'm never going to ask anyone out again. Again and again. If we'd have not got back up, where would our life be now? What would we have learned? Where would we have grown? How would we have moved on? Part of what our learning is that being knocked down and getting back up and carrying on and learning how to carry on, how to grow from what we've experienced, how to apply what we've learned and known through our belief, whether we're brought up in whatever religion, whatever faith. Faith is often the thing that lets us rise back up, because we have a faith and a belief that there are better things that are to come, that these are part of the pathway. I was born and raised in spiritualism, so for me it's always been a case of There are better things that are coming. This is part of the learning and the growth of your life. These things are helping you to become a better and a stronger person. Doesn't always help when you're going through things hearing that, because you're thinking, well, why me? Why do I have to experience? Why do I have to keep going through? But actually, we could turn around and say, why not me? Why should it be someone else that experiences these things? I've often found that when we are drawn to caring and healing for and supporting other people, we go through more than our fair share of life. Its ups and its downs, and certainly in our lives we may feel like we get knocked down a greater share than other people. But maybe that's to give us a greater empathy with other people in the world, that we understand what they have gone through and are going through, because we've been sat down there on the floor going, why me? And I can't get beyond this. You see, within what we know and understand in spiritualism is the power of the Spirit within to motivate you, to give you the strength and the ability for each and every person to connect to that divine power, to connect to the spirit world, our friends and loved ones, when we feel that there's no one else around us. We're sat down there on our own, crying our eyes out, thinking that no one loves and no one cares. And it's in those moments we can connect and feel that power of the other world literally lift us and bring us into that space. But once we know that's the case, we know that there are lots of other people who won't sit there and reach out to another source. There's a few people who'll sit there and pray, and their prayer will start somewhere around this. Hello, God. Now, I know we haven't spoken in a very long time, and I don't know if you remember me, but I'm in a bit of a pickle. Can you help? But for those of us that understand about the spirit world being there, being present in our lives, it's in those moments we can ask, I need your help. I need your strength. I need your healing, your love and your support. If you feel alone, help me to find those who will support me, who will care for me. And they come. But as individuals, if you've got to that part in your life where you know we get knocked down and we stand back up, that's wonderful. We've learned that it's just part of the process. We can be knocked down. It's okay to be knocked down. But we don't want to stay there. We want to stand up, become stronger and learn. But what happens if we see other people that are sat down, but rather than facing ahead of them, they're sat down looking back? What if only, if it had only been like this, if things had been different? And we see people that sometimes they have stopped, they have sat down, and they have given in. It is for those people that our experiences of being knocked down and getting back up can help. Because for some people, they can't get up on their own. They need a helping hand. They need someone who understands, who knows, who cares, and is willing to be there for them. To say to them, look, I know you say you can't. I understand it's too much for you to say, I can do this, I can get beyond this. But let's just start with, it's possible. It's possible to stand up again. It's possible to turn away from the past and look to the future with a sense of joy and hope. Why? Because I've had to do it too. Because I've looked back and thought, if only. And things could have been different, should have been different. But we are where we are. And so all we can do is look ahead, not back. And if you don't believe at this moment that you can do it, know that I'm here to support you until you're ready. And that's what our churches and our movement does. our wonderful healers that support, the people that talk to you and encourage you. Not just the mediums on the platform, but everybody, that you are cared for. It's not just about knowing that the other world is there. It's wonderful, but there are a lot of people who do not feel always that closeness of the other world as keenly as others. One of my wishes, and Lawrence and many of you will know I've said this before, my belief for spiritualism is not that, we're trying to make 1 million healers and 1 million mediums, etc., etc., but that we're actually giving everybody the ability to know and understand the spirit world for themselves. Not necessarily that we're trying to make people that populate a platform. I would love a world where we didn't need spiritualist churches. That sounds complete in opposition, doesn't it? But I would love a world where everybody knows the spirit world for themselves, so they don't need to feel the need for an intermediary, a medium to do it for them. But we know that for many people, there is that divide within their mind of here and the spirit world somewhere away, distant, heaven waiting beyond the clouds. Whereas the rest of us know that it's here, that the spirit world is with us in this moment, because it's this world but a finer vibration, and that those friends and loved ones are only a thought away, merely a thought. And before you've even finished thinking of them, sending out that thought of help and support, they're there. We know that. But it's up to us as ambassadors for our movement, as ambassadors for the spirit world, to go out there and help others to know the truth of that. Not necessarily to keep turning around to people and telling them, I'm a spiritualist, I'm a spiritualist, I'm a spiritualist, but actually just by showing, by being the example of what we know. If each and every person here chose to apply the love, the kindness and the compassion of our movement in every interaction with people that we have, it will change the other person and the people that we meet without us having to say who we are, what we believe in, because people will remember that connection. And at some point, people start to say, well, you're always like this. Why are you always positive? Why are you always like this? And then you can say, oh, well, this is what I believe. This is what I understand. Oh. And then the door opens and people start to see. If you go in proclaiming what you are, I'm a spiritualist and therefore I'm going to sort you out, I can guarantee you people will run 1,000,000 miles. But if we turn around and we're just there for someone, it doesn't matter what our belief or our understanding is, we're showing the kindness and compassion of a fellow kindred spirit, regardless of belief or understanding. And we're helping someone through what we know, our wisdom, our philosophy, the love of knowledge and the love of life, to inspire other people to be the same. So as you walk through life, realise that you are not just here for your own ups and downs, for your own times when you have to rise and take a stand, but you are also here to help others stand up once again. Those who think that it's over, it's never over. We know that. We know that even beyond the end of this life, it's not over. Life continues, learning continues, growth continues. So let us help others to stand up once again, and let us stand up for what we believe in, our love, our truth, our light, and let us be the example that then becomes the invitation for others to ask, why are you like that? What is it you believe and why? And that opens the doorway to a change in their life, and who knows, giving them the strength to stand on their own and to inspire others to do the same. I'll leave those thoughts with you and say good afternoon.
Mark, people often comment, why do we always have the philosophy in the services here at Poole? That's why. That is why. That was beautiful. You know, in our philosophy, our understandings, that's the message for everybody. And there is so much in there, so thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. We now move on to our piece of music for the day, which is Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. If you wish to sing along, please do. Just listen, tap your feet, whatever, but just enjoy the music. And during this time, Ian will be taking the collection for the further work of this your church.
Adore thee, all veiling their sight of all thy rich graces. This grace, Lord, impart. Take the veil from our faces, the vow from our hearts.
So before we move on to the evidential mediumship part of the service today, we know the rules, do we not? Oh dear. A little run through again, I think maybe in order. This is a three-way conversation and it does require your input, all right? And your input isn't, okay? It's yes, no, I'm not sure, maybe. So,
yes. No. Maybe.
thank you. No, So now I'll hand you over to the wonderful Mark.
Lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lawrence. So, ladies and gentlemen, as Lawrence said, very important. If something makes sense to you, you know, put your hand up, say, yes, I understand that. Sometimes we know where we want to go to. Other times it's information that comes and we work with it and we find you. We will never send you away with someone else's loved one. That doesn't work that way, okay? So we will always make sure. So I'm aware of a gentleman, and I'm slightly worried it's yours, but I'm hoping it's not, because I've got a gentleman here, and he keeps talking about being in service and being in service in the Sudan, and I don't quite know where the Sudan is, so which is always useful for me. But I know that with this gentleman, I know that he went through his wartime service. There's this connection to being in the Sudan, but I know that I've come back from that, and I've lived a life here back in the UK afterwards. And I know that with this gentleman, there were problems with his lungs and either a collapsing of both lungs or one lung prior to his passing into the spirit world. But I know there are these problems with his lungs that have taken him. But I know there's this connection to being in the Sudan, which he talks about. Would that make sense to someone?
I think it might, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Yours as well? And anywhere else? No, that's just a scratch. That's fine. So bear with me 1 second. So, but I feel that there's a connection to Dad with this. Well, yes, to Dad.
He was an uncle.
An uncle. That's okay. So he would know your father. I know, and this would be your dad, right? Okay. Bear with me 1 second. As soon as I was sitting down there and hearing it, I was going, oh. But I feel with this gentleman as well. That can I ask you something about this being your uncle then, if this is the case? Would you have understood that your uncle would have also had an interest in mechanics at some point, particularly working on a motorbike?
I don't think so.
So this is with your father. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is a slight problem. Let me say it's got to be. Let me work with you briefly then, Lawrence, because it's important. He's allowed for all he does. But I'm just very much aware then, if this is being with Dad, the problem is I have too much in my head about your dad now. Yeah. But I just kept feeling here, and I had this connection that kept coming back about Sudan. But there's something very specific about the service in the Sudan that he experienced and really changed him and changed aspects of his career in his service. You understand
Correct.
that?
Yeah.
Because it's something that we haven't discussed or we haven't talked about. And I feel very much that your father would refer to himself as those experiences during the war making him a changed man.
Yeah.
And I know that there is the sense here, as he talks about this, of certain experiences around you, not in the same way, but that have made us a changed person, and we are looking at how we have changed.
Yeah.
Okay, and your father's seeing this, and he's empathizing with you, because he said some things mold us, other things force us to change shape.
Yeah.
Okay, but there is this strength and this support that he brings behind you for that.
Lovely.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that's all I wanted to say, and that's all he's come in to say, because it's almost like, don't feel as if you're being bent out of shape, you're being moulded into something new. Okay, you understand that?
Well, we just have it slimmer.
God, if only. If we could
Thank
charge by the pound, I'd be a millionaire.
Thank you.
Okay, that's lovely. I'm aware of a lady with me here. Right, sweetheart, I like you. Right. This is a bit of a weird start to a message, but we will work with how this lady brings it. I am seeing this lady bring forward a photograph of a lady dressed in suffragette garb, because she's wearing the suffragette sash. Now, I know obviously this is a very long time ago, but this must be known within the family that there was a lady who was a well-regarded woman within the women's suffrage movement, and this photo must still exist somewhere in the family. And when we had the anniversary, which is going back, I think it's about 8 or 9 years ago, isn't it, of women's suffrage, there must have been made mention of this lady or something to do with this lady that's significant, please. Would someone understand that? Nobody here understands this thing, and I feel that this would be known within the family, and I feel that there's a family connection that takes us back to London, but London back in sort of, World War I times, and our family would have connected to London in that era. No? No one understands this. Okay, because it's not the suffragette lady that I've got, so let me just see if I can find out more about the lady who's showing me this. The lady that I've got here, I know this lady's got a problem where she shakes before she passes to the spirit world. I know that she's of a good age. I feel this lady's got to be about 87, 88 when she passes to the spirit world. But she's showing me this photo of this lady who's a suffragette. And I know this, she's very proud of this lady. And I know that with this lady, before she passed to the spirit world, there is a neurological condition that's affected her, which is why there are these shakes. And I feel this connects to Mum, this lady with the shakes and the neurological condition. No, no one understands this. If you don't know about the lady who's the suffragette, if I talk about the description of Mum, and I talk about also the name of Barbara, that would also connect around Mum, and this connection with the family coming from the London environment, even if you don't know about this, the suffragette lady, who would understand all of that without the suffragette lady? Hmm?
Sorry.
What?
Yeah.
All of that?
Yeah.
And no one else?
We've done the collection.
You understand about the photo of the woman who would be the suffragette
I
lady?
don't understand that, but I've got all the other and the name.
And the name. Okay. But would you understand then if I talk, because she's talking about something to do with something that was done or said to do with the women's suffrage when we had the anniversary, that there was something that was done specifically or in memory of women's suffrage at the time?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay. Because this lady's showing me this photo. So if you've still got photos going back, can you go back and look
Right.
for this? Because it seems this lady who's got the shake, she's talking about this and she seems very proud about the role of women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, in our movement, that's a big part of who and what we are. And I know that it's really, really important to her. So she's yours as well then. Okay, well, we'll that's all right. Shall we go for another one and see if he's going to nab more? Because you can ask him for a refund otherwise, can't you?
That's my man dad now, so thank you.
It's no, Dad, okay. Because, is that Dad's mum though?
No, it's Mum.
Mum's mum. Okay. Your mum. Oh, sorry, I thought you said
Barbara.
Mum's mum. Okay. But I want to look for this photo.
Okay.
This photo's like a sepia job, but it's literally like almost like a photo of Emmeline Pankhurst.
Right.
Almost.
And I think I know where it is. Yeah.
Okay. Because it seems so important. Almost everyone in the family's been a pioneer of one form or another. You understand that? If you go back, and it's not just to do with spiritual things, there are people who have changed and made reform.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Lovely. So we'll leave Mum and Dad with you, hopefully. He's allowed. Problem is, whenever it's him, I'm always in my head about what do you know? What do you know?
I've got 7 arms. So this
Don't-
could be a very long day.
Don't. We're not having the whole charabang. You know, ladies and gentlemen, once at a demonstration, out of 7 messages, one lady got 5 connections, and the whole audience was starting to groan. At the end of that demonstration, the lady came up and she said, I needed to tell you why that was so important. I was walking along the beach today deciding whether to end my life because I was told for the 4th time I'd got cancer, and my partner, when he heard, said, oh, I've had you and your cancer, and left me. And she said, and I walked along the beach today saying, right, this is my last walk along Bournemouth Beach before I end it. And a voice said, go to church tonight. And 5 of her loved ones, all individually, came through and told her how she was loved and how much more she had to do in this world. So we never know why. Not that you're going anywhere, but, you know. Could do the nice flag. Anyway, so, right, okay. My lady, you're sitting with your arm like that and you've got pink and flowers. Hello there. I've got a lady with me and I'm drawn to the fact you're wearing florals and things that are bright. And I know that not only would this lady have liked to have also worn bright colours, but also I would want that when I look out my window with flowers. And I would want, like we've got the geraniums in the pots and the petunias, we've got literally a riot of colour. There's almost not an inch of a garden that's left to be bare. It's filled. And I feel with this lady, when I talk about The colour that she wore was also the colour of her personality, bright and, if I say over the top, but not in an uncomfortable way, okay? Because some people can be too gushy. She was just infectious in her laughter, in her joy, in her way of working. Is this your mum?
Sister.
This is your sister. Did she have children, please? Okay, because I felt as if I got to talk about being mum as well. So being a mother, being important to her. Okay, because I feel here. Would she have looked? If I say, would she look after you? Okay, because it feels like I'll take care of you. I'll sort you out. Okay, and that's why I got this mother. I'm almost bringing you up a bit at times. Okay. I don't know whether you're allowed to say that to her. She's laughing and she's saying sometimes it may have been dragged a bit because you didn't always want to do. Okay, but she's doing that jokingly, ribbingly again with the fun. She's not having a jibe at you. She's having fun with you. But I know with her, for all of this laughter, this joy, there is a very serious aspect to her as well in private, where she looks at things and she considers things, and there is a deep concern for people, sometimes a bit too deep, because it's as if I don't know how to resolve things in people's lives for them, and I just feel as if I keep giving, at some point it's got to get better. But we learnt the hard way on that, you know, okay? And she said, and you said it, you told me, but I wasn't choosing to listen then. Okay, so I know there's an aspect of an apology there, that at the time you were thinking, why won't you hear me? But she said, I was always just hoping that just one more time and it would be better. Okay, but she's got such a love and an affection. Would you understand, please? And I'm not saying this is around you at the moment. I feel this may be more around the family, her family. But there feels like there is this very great need to kind of lift up and bring out of the tut. I'll use that word instead. Because I know that she feels as if, when we were talking earlier about the people landing down and then staying down, and she's saying literally it's like trying to take a crane to lift them up. And then they sit back straight back down again. But it's got to keep happening until they learn to stand. And that's what I didn't do when I was here. I didn't let them stand on their own at times, okay? But I know it's been a concern of yours, and you've been thinking, what can I do? What can I say? Okay? Have you also another sister? Because I'm hearing them doing the Andrews sisters, and I can hear the three of them, sisters. And I almost think that at times either your sister or you and your sister would have sung that in a jokey way of like, oh, there you go, those are the wonderful sisters. Because there's just this love, there's just this affection that comes in there around the three of you. And woe betide anyone that comes between me and my sister. Okay? And that's what she's reminding us of with that song. All right, Paddle. Would you, okay, this is a bit of an odd memory, but would you remember going back a piece of, like an ornate piece of china that got smashed, and then bringing it to Mum like smashed and going, I'm so sorry, this got smashed? Okay, because she's holding out this little pile of china, and she's saying, this is easier to repair even though it's in a million bits. Okay, but she's reminding and saying, do you know what? It's only stuff. And at the time, Mum's response was even that, which was a bit of a shock, because it was more like, I'm gonna lose one of my 9 lives. But I know here that, again, there's this talk about people, whatever's gone and is broken and is lost, but people will always mend. Okay? What else do you want to say, Dan? Would you understand, and again, I'm not opening up private things, but where she's talking about the loved ones here that need raising up, has that person received counselling, or has that been talked about? Talked about. I keep feeling she's pushing for that, because it feels like everything's just locked inside and it needs dealing with. Okay, so not that you can strong arm someone, because that doesn't work. They have to go willingly. But she said, you know, that's important. It's got to come out. It's got to come out, all right? There's all that love, and thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. And I know you'd say, I'm only repaying because that's what you do. But she said, others haven't been as supportive as you. Okay, so just know that she appreciates it, she loves you, and her love to them, even though at times they won't hear that this is anything real. You're slightly nutty for believing in dead people, aren't we all? But she's saying, just let them know I've been here, because it may be the little chink that starts something better and greater. Okay, so let me leave that with you with her love. Where's she? Okay. My gentleman in blue. Hello there.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Yes, all right. Let me just see if you understand this, because I was told to come to the guy in blue, but I'm seeing that very dark navy. Would you understand a gentleman who'd get told off for coming in the house covered in grease and would have been working on either bikes or car engines, but he reminds me of the guy out of Last of the Summer Wine who used to get told off for coming in the house, and I've got paper being put down everywhere for this man to say I'm not allowed to touch anything because I've got all this grease and stuff on my hands. No? No. Right, so neither of you. So guy in blue, there's not another chap in blue, so we'll have to find out what that's been. Oh, I don't know. No, good. Okay, we'll find out why chap in blue is because it's not. Right, so bear with me. If it's not you two gentlemen that are there, I heard guy in blue, so there may be something significant to that in a second. But I've got this gentleman. I know that this gentleman, literally, to me he's of retirement age, but I feel that he's still tinkering and working with cars and bikes and machinery, things like that, and he doesn't care where dirt gets, but I feel that his good lady, his wife, is particularly house proud, and there's this forever running after him, trying to make sure that he's not gonna mess up the house when he comes indoors, because literally almost everything I touch I leave a handprint on. And would anyone understand that with a couple in the spirit world? Because I've got this connection with this man and this lady, and I feel that literally he's getting told off again and again. What have I told you about cleaning up before you come in? No, nobody's understanding that at all.
I think I can.
Can you?
Yes, my dad was a tinkering.
But would he, you know, like when you got like grease and sore figure, and then rather than going straight to the kitchen sink and doing something, he'd come in to get something else, and he'd touch other things. That's fine, because I get this feeling. Why can't you just clean off before you come in? And would you understand then with mum or stepmum, as you just said there, this very house proud, like literally as if the Queen's about to turn up every day. And there's, you know, the white glove test. I've almost got that, almost that everything has to be, nothing can be sticky, nothing can be, because I get this feeling. And would you understand that then with Dad this is something that Dad loved all through his life, tinkering with things, working with things. And there's an element of it that comes out of his work as well when he's younger, that he's worked with machinery, he's worked with greasing things up and doing all of that, and that he's carried that on beyond into retirement years, that he still plays with things, he still undoes stuff, he still tries and, if I say tries and repairs stuff, not everything ever got put back together fully. Yeah? Does that make sense? Good. So, but I get this feeling with him, you know, there's that lovely poem, Dust If You Must. I get this feeling from him, he can't understand why you'd want to spend all your time cleaning stuff, because you're only going to have to clean it again in a couple of days' time. And I get this feeling with him, and he's not being funny with his partner, but he gives me this sense of saying, you know, it's just a bit of grease, it'll just wipe off, it doesn't need a whole clean down. But he's almost like, it's to him, a little muck doesn't matter. Okay, a little muck doesn't matter, and I feel that if he'd spill or drop anything, she'd want to wash it, and he'd go, oh no, I'll just get a damp cloth and it'll be fine, and you know, leaving a big water patch around. And it's not doesn't care about his appearance. It's not that. It's actually that it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Okay, there are bigger and worse things to worry about in the world than if I've got a drop of sauce on my top. Okay, but I know that as he brings this in, he's making me aware of this, because you know when you see other people's behaviour and you think, God, is that all you've got to worry about in life? Yeah. And and I believe you'll have had this conversation with someone and said, God, if that's all they've got to worry about, haven't they got a good life? And this was your dad's approach to things. You know, there are far bigger and more important things to worry about than this and this and this. And I know that as he brings that in for you, he's bringing it in because he's saying that's how you have to view it. Don't take anything to heart. Other people's stuff, when it's like that, it's just their stuff. And if someone's telling you something or telling you off for something that really isn't yours, it's their issue. You understand that? Because you've recently got dragged into other people's stuff.
We tried to. Yeah,
Oh.
we tried. Don't get very far.
Good. That's what I like to hear. That's what Dad likes to hear as well. But I do feel, would your dad have started to have more and more problems with his eyesight in his latter years?
Yeah, he got
And degeneration and things like that going on with the eyes? Because I know with him, I'm finding it harder and harder to see what I'm doing. And I didn't tell people I was having that, but you'd see me fumble with stuff that I should have been quite adept with. Because he said I hid the fact for quite a while that my eyesight was a lot worse than it was. And I know that as he talks about that now I'm not certain whether I've picked that up from him right. Did he hand over his license, or was his license
it's
taken
very-
off of him?
It's a very sad time, that was.
Okay, because he's talking about his driving license.
Somebody dubbed him in, and he hadn't done anything wrong. And when that happened, he just lost it.
Okay,
Yeah.
because he's talking about that moment being
Yeah.
affecting to him. Okay.
Very sad.
Because he's like, I was fine, like Mr. Magoo almost over the thing, but bless his heart, you know, he's do you know that moment? Sit down, okay. But I know for him, as he's bringing this and he's talking about that, he's talking about the sense of freedom that he used to get, that he could go somewhere, he could do something. You know, it's like when you first get a car, you don't realise how much time you spend walking everywhere in the past, and you think, God, having a car is brilliant. But I get this feeling of him wanting to talk to you about your freedom. Now, I don't necessarily mean getting in a car and driving out somewhere, but I feel that there is this sense about being able to go further afield and do more things. So it's almost that, not necessarily breaching your horizons with travel, but with the things you want to do. Okay, but I know that recently it's felt like I've taken my glasses off and nothing's focused, and I've got to sharpen up the vision. I've got to sharpen up the clarity. I've got to sharpen up my focus now. This is why we don't want to get involved in all this. We actually want to focus on what we want. Okay, and your father was very good at planning something. You know, when we used to plan routes, your father was really good. You literally have every turn off marked on a piece of paper, so you knew exactly where you were going. Forget sat navs and things like that. He would plan every little thing. He'd know every little turn. He'd know everything. And there's something about this, not to do with going on a physical journey, but going on a spiritual journey. You need to plan. We say plan, but then the other world have another plan for us, don't they? But we have to sometimes put the wheels in motion to where we want to go. Okay? So there's nothing wrong in saying, I'd like to experience, to look at and to go for this, even if you're not sure whether it's where you want to end up. Do you understand? Because sometimes you go, oh, it's not for me. And then you pull back. You don't know it's not for you until you've tried it. A bit like broccoli and cabbage and sprouts. You don't know whether they're for you until you've tried them. And then you realise that you were right all the way along. But anyway. But I know, I just remember what he said. Just try the things that you. Let me leave that with you. God bless. Okay. I don't know whether I'm with Ian or whether I'm with you, darling, as well. this is, I know we're not normally meant to do this off a platform,
That's right.
but I keep seeing a nun stood between you, and I know everyone can turn around and go, you've got a nun in the spirit world, but I keep feeling that this relates. I know both of you work with the healing here, but this relates to one or other of you, where you know there is this nun, and I know this nun is not like English, she's from another country, okay? Because I've got this feeling of her just standing there, very patient, very quiet, and very still. But as I was about to know that the hook was coming in to say enough's enough, she just caught my arm and just did this, like, pay attention to me, just for a moment, pay attention to me. And I know that there is this sense from her. Would you understand, with the healing, you've asked about direction of where it goes beyond here, okay? Because she's saying, I've listened and I've heard. I've listened. But it feels like when you've asked, it's been left with a long gap of no sense of answer. Because she said, we're waiting for things to push you forward and for you to take that step. It's not necessarily about what we want now, but where you're willing to go. Do you understand that? Because you've asked about taking the healing further forward. You have. And you're saying, but it's about how you're going to just let this blending occur and to surrender. You keep hearing surrender being told to you. So it's about how much you let go to the surrender to see where it leads. Because we don't have to say anything, we just have to be it. And that feeling of being it is something that you've been told before. You just have to be it. It's not something you do, it's something you are. You understand? So let me leave that with you. I'm blowing you kisses for that because it feels important. She wouldn't. she's none. But I know with her personality, because you know it, there is a quiet strength, but there is a strong strength. And this lady has a great discipline, a great strength, which is what's being applied here. And there is a discipline and a strength that will come out of what you do, and it changes things and people. Okay, so will you remember? I know that you've felt drawn to go to. I don't know whether it's this particular place, but it's what it reminds me of, Carcassonne, where there's all the like the monasteries and things in the mountains between France and Spain. There's all these monasteries and nunneries and convents and all this sort of thing. But I know there's been a drawing to go abroad to those kind of places because it's the influence of her. Okay? Does that make sense? So just bear in mind, surrender, let it be what it needs to be, and we will go with you as we explore it. But we're not going to tell you it's there. You've just got to explore it. Okay? Let it happen. Let the voice speak to you. Okay? So let me leave that with you. Say God bless on behalf of both myself and those on the spirit world. On the spirit world?
On
There
the
might be in
spirit
it,
world.
on it, in
Yes.
it, on
Round
the
it.
spirit, round it. I don't know. I've lost
Flying
me.
over it.
I've lost me will to speak. It's the heat. I'm blaming the heat. And so, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of both myself and those in the spirit world, thank you for your love, for your affection that makes those connections possible. And I will say good afternoon and God bless.
Thank you very much, Mark. And Ree, you're up here to give the voice to spirit. All right, and if they are known to us, whether they be guides, family, loved ones, is not our business.
Absolutely.
If they are recognised and understood, that is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So just for the notices, just a reminder, those of you who have signed up for the Circle with Jamie, that starts tomorrow night, so 6:30 for a 7 o'clock start. Private sittings with Kez on Saturday are now fully booked, but we do still have some tickets available for her evening demonstration, and that's at 7 o'clock, and it'll be £8 on the door, so that's an evening with Kez Eggleton. Sunday morning, doors open at 10:15 for 11 o'clock start, and that's a divine service with Irene Hall from Reading, with healing available before the service if you require. Next Wednesday, we have our healing hour, which is taken by our church healers. Thursday the 21st, we have Brian Walker back with us from Portsmouth Way, There is one appointment left with him at 3 o'clock. Sunday week at 11 a.m, another divine service, and that's with Minister Kim Moore-Cullen. Friday the 29th at 11 a.m, we have our bereavement group. And on Friday the 5th of August, we have an evening demonstration with Bill Rich, who is staying with us overnight. And on Saturday the 6th, he'll be taking private sittings, which are bookable through any of the workers at the church here. Sunday the 7th, we've got the lovely Mark back with us, who will be taking a Lyceum service. So instead of where we have the philosophy, we'll be having one aspect of the history of spiritualism. Then Sunday the 21st, we have the This is Spiritualism Rally. All-day event, 5 speakers, 5 subjects, all with questions and answers. Tickets are by donation, so they're affordable to all. Mark is the final speaker of the day, where he'll be doing a trance demonstration. So we're hearing from mediums all through the day, different aspects of spiritualism. So it's only fitting at the end of the day, we hear from Spirit themselves. So that's Sunday the 21st of August. And then on Saturday the 27th of August, we have a workshop on mediumistic development, and that's with Craig Morris, and all levels are welcome for that. Our online works continue with our meditations, Monday at 7, Saturdays at 9 a.m. And our Saturday night Lyceum nights continue at 7 o'clock. We've got some speakers lined up for the rest of this month and going into the next, like Minister Kim Moore-Cullen, Simone Keys, Bill Rich, and many others. So that's our notices. All these details obviously are available on our website and also our social media presence. So thank you. Mark, if I could ask you for the closing blessing.
Certainly.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, once more, let us close our eyes, but open our hearts and minds in prayer. Gracious and divine Spirit, we thank you for this time that we have shared together, for the love and the warmth of the spirit world, for that lovely touch of that healing presence that we have all felt here. And we ask that as we go about our lives in the days and weeks to come, that we can share that love, that warmth, that caring, that compassion with all those people that we meet. And allow us to be mindful of those people who find themselves laid low, that we may be there to support and to help them to rise again, to stand up and to feel the strength and the power of the Spirit within. So as always, we thank you for all that we have shared and received, and we thank you for all that is yet to come, knowing that each and every day brings more hope, more joy in our lives, and more chances to enrich the Spirit within ourselves and those that we meet. So for this we are ever thankful, with love and joy in our hearts. Amen.
Amen. Mark, thank you. 2 thank yous. Thank you for stepping in at the last minute. Much appreciated. And thank you, as always, a wonderful, uplifting service, and so much to take away and think about. Brilliant. Well done.
You.
Thank you for my 2.
Oh, you're welcome.
I balked at the 3rd. I thought I better not say it. I'll get stoned. Thank you all for coming. And there's exceptionally warm weather we're having. It's called summer, apparently. It's wonderful. Don't push yourselves. You know, if you're finding it a bit hard going in this heat, it can wait. Unless you're a fireman or a cardiologist, it doesn't matter, all right? So have a wonderful day, and we look forward to greeting you and meeting you all again soon. Thank you.
God bless. Hey.